I'm joined by Super from the San Francisco Shock. They're about to face Dallas today, defending champions. Have you got that little thing? Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
Sinatraa has the MVP.
Oh, Sinatraa has the other one as well. That's actually really clean.
Yeah.
When I first saw the picture of Sinatra's 2 on his sleeve, I thought they were one was for the World Cup. And so I asked Space yesterday whether he had the World Cup one on his sleeve, and he just looked mortified, like I had just grievously offended him. All right, anyway, you're playing against the Dallas Fuel today. You're coming into the season. What's the expectations for 2020 for the San Francisco Shock?
I mean, we didn't really change much, like with regards to our roster. Like everything's still basically the same, except for obviously Nivix, and now we have Ansan. So I think we just have the same structure, same system. We're just gonna keep doing the things that we did in season 2. Just kind of play how we practiced.
How do you keep up that level of motivation and actually try and keep yourselves that focused when you've already achieved your goal of winning the league? A lot of teams, like in NFL, I think it's called the Super Bowl hangover. When they win the Super Bowl, they're more likely to not do as well when they come into the next season because it's a natural human thing. You've achieved your goal, so you slack off a bit afterwards. How do you keep the fire?
I think because like you got to make the goal not just like once, like make it like a one-time thing. You kind of want to keep pushing yourself and get maybe 2, 3, however many we can get. So you don't want to get complacent and let the competition take you over because like it is a hungry league. Like people obviously want to become the best they can be, and if someone doesn't win a championship, then they're going to try harder to get there. And if you let people pass you, then you'll just become a worse player. And I don't really want to let that happen. So I think as a team, we kind of know that that's the case, and we just want to keep that up.
So are we to expect the San Francisco Shock to be just as hungry as you were last season? Like still just stomping people, spawn camping, not dropping a map? Like is that the kind of thing we're going to be expecting from Shock?
I don't know about not dropping a map because that happens sometimes, but I mean, we'll still be hopefully performing at our highest levels that we can.
You talked a little bit about this off-season and how you haven't really changed that much, right? You added Ants instead of Nevix, who went and joined the Toronto Defiant. Has that... The fact that you haven't really restructured like a lot of these different teams, what have you guys been focusing on in the offseason? Almost everybody else has been just trying to get their team together, and you guys have kept the same kind of core. What's been going on in the offseason for you?
Yes, because a lot of teams, they have completely new rosters or like different cores of the rosters they have to kind of gel together. But I think because we kept most of it, we're kind of just focused on like cleaning up the edges a little bit because we had obviously that long few-month break in between the end of Overwatch League, and then we had our boot camp in Korea like mid-November. So when we started that, I think that was kind of a new experience for us because we never really had a boot camp like that. Like we kind of just came back to LA and did our training. But I think for the boot camp, we kind of just focused on being more like into the game and more just kind of focusing up those little rough edges that we could get away with last season because certain levels of competition weren't like up to where we were. We kind of, we could get away with it. So we just try to get that as clean as possible.
Do you think the boot camping in Korea and that kind of stuff was really valuable practice in terms of being able to compete against like the maybe a better group of competition with the people that were also over there for boot camps and just people in Korea in general? Is that something that you really valued, or was it just a different place?
I don't know. I feel like it was kind of just, it was maybe a mix of both because there were some Overwatch League teams that were boot camping in Korea, and then we played against them, more frequently because they were there. But also having like a different environment, it kind of gives you that mindset of you're here to do this thing and not do these other things that you could do while you're home or while you're back in LA or whatever it is. So I think you kind of just get more honed in on the game and just can do more with it.
I don't know whether you saw, but Nero tweeted yesterday after he'd seen some of the New York games and the other games. He put out his power rankings of like which heroes he thinks are good. I think specifically DPS heroes was what he was going for. And like he had, there was a bit of Doomfist and Genji being played recently here. And specifically Sim was not even on the radar. Now, I talked to a couple of teams even before this about the idea of a totally different meta developing in Asia compared to over here. And the idea that a lot of other teams had was it's probably going to be better to practice wherever the Shock is because the Shock is the defending champion and they're the teams that are kind of setting the meta. What do you think about that? I mean, do you think Nero's on the money? Do you think a new meta is going to develop? What's your feel?
Yeah, so I did read his tier list. Some of it's right, and I disagree with other parts of it. Wait, when is this being posted, by the way?
This will be posted before your game against Dallas because it's about the run-up. So, yeah. Dude, the turnaround's going to be nasty.
Okay, so maybe I won't say anything too much, but I think you'll see some stuff that you hear, that he agreed with, or that I think is correct that he posted about, and you'll see probably some things that he don't think is as good. Just because I feel like teams learn from each other, right? Like when you scrim, like you'll play a team and then they'll do something good that you think is all right, and then you try to like adapt it, or like maybe you think it's good but it's not exactly perfect, so you try to clean it up a bit. And I just think that you'll see a lot of different things in different regions.
Yeah, do you think that, for the San Francisco Shock, would you think of yourselves as innovators? Like you define what the meta is, or do you learn from a lot of other teams and then perfect it? Like what's your feel on that?
That's funny because me and our team, we kind of realize that there are certain teams that when we play them, they tend to, I don't want to say steal strats from us.
Yeah, Sinatraa off camera is like they 100% straight copy us.
Yeah, no, there are definitely some teams that take inspiration from, I'll say.
A great way of putting it.
Yeah. But I feel like that's kind of just how it is, like, because teams, they play each other, and if they get rolled by something, or like they can't find a counter, they'll think, well, maybe that actually is the way to play. Yeah. So yeah, I'll say some teams steal from us sometimes, but on occasion we will find things from other teams as well.
Do you think then, are you excited to face these Asian teams particularly that are going to develop in a bit of their own little bubble? Do you think that there's the potential for kind of cheese comps that might throw you off? Is it a good thing or a bad thing that different metas are going to develop based on different regions?
I think it's actually a good thing, because I feel like one of the most exciting things that people like to watch last season was kind of like Chengdu, because they were such a wild card for the most part. People kind of started to figure them out like later in the season, but when they started off, like they had Wrecking Ball and they had all these weird comps. They had like that weird sim comp on Hanamura where they would TP around. Do you remember that? And I feel like people they like to see variation, especially when it's like kind of a stagnant meta. So being able to see different regions, what they can develop, and then seeing these two regions clash against each other, I think is actually going to be really interesting and fun to see.
All right, talk to me about the Scrimbucks, the juice. Everybody's still saying that the San Francisco Shock is on top. That's what I've heard from everybody else. The interesting question, though, that I want to ask you guys, rather than just allowing you to gas yourselves up again and talk about how good you are and you're going to crush everyone, et cetera, it's boring. I've heard it all before. I want to ask you which other teams you think might be close to catching up with you this season. Are there any other teams that you think have either improved a lot from last season that you're keeping an eye on, or you think you're keeping an eye on as direct competitors in 2020?
So, I feel like I'm going to take some credit here that people started riding off my bandwagon, because when I said on stream that Valiant started to get better in scrims, and then all of a sudden a bunch of other people start saying that too. So I'll take credit for that. Mike, I'll get the money here whenever. But I feel like Valiant is definitely better than people give them credit for. You kind of saw a glimpse of that yesterday with, I think McGravy played pretty well yesterday. KSP played pretty well yesterday. And the whole team seemed pretty gelled together. So Valiant's definitely someone to look out for. I would actually say maybe Florida is a little bit better too than people would say. And I think overall just the competition is just, upped a little bit this season.
That's interesting, because I have that same feel as well, that it seems like there's only going to be a couple of teams that on paper look really weak. I was thinking the Valiant might even be one of them, but it turns out that absolutely not. But, like your Bostons of the world, this kind of stuff, they don't look that great on paper. They have yet to play. I think they're playing against New York. Yeah. God bless them. But it seems like a lot of other teams that were in the middle of the pack made significant investments. They spent the money. They got the players, got contenders players to try and compete with you guys, because you guys stayed the same and were the defending champions. Do you think then that the overall competition is going to be a lot stiffer?
I think you'll probably see a lot more close matches. I don't want to jinx it. I don't even know how the current match is going right now. There wasn't a single 3-0 yesterday. Yeah. So that's a good sign, I would say. Even London against New York, I feel like a lot of people had them rated lower, but I thought they were actually a lot better than people gave them credit for. Just because, like I said, the competition is so much higher. And I think you'll probably see a lot less 3-0s, just because teams are... I feel like with homestands and playing in front of like a home crowd, it's kind of like an extra drive that people have to improve, because they don't want to disappoint in front of a large audience. So I feel like overall the game quality will probably be better in the long run.
All right, you're talking about home crowds. You're about to go out there as the defending champions, face Dallas in their home crowd. They just lost yesterday to the Valiant. I think there's a lot of fans out there that are even Dallas fans, diehard Dallas fans, that are just they're at the like thoughts and prayers kind of level rather than having hopes and expectations. What are you feeling coming up to this game? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I mean, because it's been a while since we played on stage. Obviously, last stage I played was World Cup, and that feels like a long time ago. So I think I'm just really excited to play again because I just like playing. I like competing. I know McGravy said this in his interview with you, that he likes getting booed. I kind of have that same like thing too, because I feel like when you get booed, it's such an extra drive. Like, all right, let's go get it, baby. You know what I'm talking about? So I hope the home crowd is like really energetic. But I don't know why they had the Dallas walk out first and then they had Valiant walk out second. That seems kind of weird because usually the home team walks out second.
I don't know. I think it's to amp up the crowd so that they're ready to boo you guys. I actually have no idea, but I anticipate that would be the same thing again.
Yeah, maybe, because I feel like with the New York homestand, like when I heard on stream, like they really booed London when they walked out first. So I hope it's just a good, energetic crowd either way.
All right. Last thing before I let you go, we've been seeing a lot of double main tank being played, Rhine Orisa. We're also seeing a lot of Rhine and Diva being played. Those are the kind of two classic tank compositions that we've seen so far. You're obviously Rhine specialist. For my money, Rhine was your best hero last year. What are we going to see from Super from this homestand moving forwards?
Did you forget about World Cup?
Yeah, well, you were great at World Cup. Yeah, you're absolute Orisa boy, horse lady.
Okay, well, that's at least two there in my arsenal. Wait, what was the question?
What are you enjoying the tank meta at the moment? What's the situation within the shock?
I feel like the general consensus, most people think that the meta is all right, but I know a lot of people don't like Mei. What? That most people don't like Mei.
Sinatra's got some strong feelings about the meta.
Most people don't like Mei, especially DPS players. But I feel like a lot of the heroes that people do enjoy seeing, like Ana, Lucio, Rhine, they're kind of like shifting back in. Yeah. So overall, I think it's all right, as long as I do agree that Mei's a little bit too strong, especially with like her Mei wall, how like you have to break 2 sections of it for a tank to walk through. And that's just really hard to like protect and care for a tank if they get separated from the team. But other than that, I think it's all right for the most part.
What are the biggest things that you have to kind of keep in your mind when you're playing tank in the meta?
I think a lot of it is like being aware of a lot of like forms of CC and like ways to separate you from your team. So you think of like McCree flashbang, Mei wall, Mei left click, even like primary fire. Just because there's a lot of stuff that you want to do as a tank, but you have to be really careful because you can get punished easily if you're not aware of it. So just being able to keep that in mind.
All right, sweet. I'm looking forward to your match. I hope we see some spicy stuff. It's actually me and Bren that are doing the commentary. So if you could give us just an amazing display of random stuff, we would love that.
Oh, there'll be something. There'll be something. Yeah, there'll be something.
All right, I'm looking forward to that then. Thank you very much, Super, for the interview, and good luck in your match later on.
Thank you.